relay. And I went through it in some detail here because learning how these relays work and learning these numbers will help you on a whole lot of things. These numbers are standard. These are DIN spec numbers, so that you can count on 86 as being a powered side of a relay coil and 85 being a grounded side of a relay coil on virtually any European car on virtually any part of the system. And A on it means that it's a different one, or it may be switched differently. Okay, 30 is the power side. 87 is the load side. Those are fairly well standard. Okay, the relay has power applied to it basically all the time, and then it's turned off and on by grounding. And Porsche likes to do that for some reason. They don't switch the power as much as they switch the grounds on a lot of this stuff. The switches that operate that relay, the first one is on the lower left front side of the radiator. Screws in and measures coolant temperature. The standard switch is, I think it's 85 Celsius, and the vendors sell a replacement switch is 75, 77 I think is the spec on 75. And that will turn your fan on a little earlier. Quite honestly, you shouldn't need it, but a lot of people like to have it just to catch an overheating engine a little bit earlier. But either one will work. If that switch doesn't work, then the fan won't come on when the coolant gets hot. If it shorts, the fan will run all the time, but that's not a common problem. Another switch is located on the receiver dryer, and I'm talking early cars here, remember, up through 86. On the receiver dryer, there are two switches. The first one is the pressure switch we talked about. It's down on the side that you reach through the grill. The other one is on about a 1/4-inch stem that sticks up by the side. Okay? That switch is not a pressure switch on the earlier cars. That's a temperature switch. It is supposed to measure the temperature of the Freon and turn on when the Freon gets hot. Well, personal opinion, that doesn't work worth a hoot. The Freon temperature gets lost in that long stem, etc., etc., etc. And I don't think that switch works well enough. I would like to have the fan running all the time, the compressor's running. So I think one of the things you should do on an early car is to put a relay in that will drive the air conditioning compressor clutch and trigger the electric fan, so that anytime the compressor's running, the fan's on. I think that'll give you a little better cooling. The last switch is on the top of the intake manifold plenum, and that's the hex switch with two wires on it. And that one is primarily for cool down after shutdown. When you turn the engine off, if it is really, really hot, then any fuel vapors that are in the intake can deposit out and coke and make varnish and bad stuff in the manifold, etc. And that one is designed, if the intake manifold is really hot, the fans will run usually the lower speed on most of the cars until the temperature drops down. If I remember right, it triggers at 85 or 87 and off at about 83, I think, something like that. But that one is the only switch that operates the fan with the ignition off. The others are wired through the ignition so that if the fan won't turn off, okay, the quick and easy fix is unplug that switch, and that should fix it. If it doesn't, the relay's stuck. Okay? But if the switch is bad, unplugging the switch will stop the fans from running on, and you need a new switch. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, that's on 85. Most of the early clutches probably are slipping on the belt-driven fan. They contain a silicone fluid that is supposed to be sort of heat insensitive so that it doesn't thin out like engine oil when it gets hot. And the idea is that that limits the amount of power absorbed to somewhere between 1.5 horses and 2 horsepower to drive the fan. If the silicone fluid gets low, the fan slips, you don't get good airflow at low speeds. So if the car gets very hot in traffic, if the air conditioning is very ineffective in traffic, then you need to look at that clutch. And we'll go through fixing or checking that in a minute. I'll go ahead and do it now. There is no good test for that. Okay? There is no definitive test for whether that clutch is good or not. All you can do is, with the engine hot, crank it up and rev the engine to about 1,500 to 2,000 and hold it there. If the clutch is good, after about 2 or 3 or 4 seconds, you will notice that the airflow starts increasing fairly noticeably, and you should get a good blast of air off the fan. If the airflow doesn't increase much, the clutch is slipping. Okay? There is a procedure for refilling the clutch. You go to Toyota and buy some heavy silicone oil and then refill the clutch, and that's available several places on the web, thanks to Greg Nichols. And by the way, I've already thanked him. If you don't know, the man standing here in the dark blue shirt has done probably as much to support 928s as anybody else in the world. He has collected several years worth of tips and answers from the several Porsche lists that have flown through the internet, and has collected all of those. He has them on both his website, and he has also consented to put them on the Owners Club website, and that's a great service to all of us. And if you want FAQs, Greg's got a bunch of them. With this system, again, if you have a problem with a 928, I would be willing to bet money that 75% of the problems that people have with 928s are relays and fuses and bad connections, no matter what system it's in. Okay? That's true with this system for certain. You've got a fuse, you've got a relay, and you can have bad connections in any of those. One thing that you may or may not have ever considered on a 928, central power panel, all the relays and all the fuses under the passenger's feet. What happens when you drive the car when it's raining? Somebody gets in, they got wet feet, they get the carpet wet. Okay? That's not sealed. That moisture goes into the fuse box and it sits there. So summertime rain is not especially friendly to 928 central power panels, fuse connections, and relays. It would be nice if that were better ventilated or better sealed, I think. Okay, talked about the Freon temp switch not being too effective. Okay, troubleshooting. Went through the clutch fan clutch. The electric cooling fan may not run as often as you expect. Okay, and that's, again, we're talking early cars here. I don't think that air conditioning temp setup works all that great. Go through the testing, and basically you can check the fan by shorting out the Freon temp switch. If the fan runs, then the fan, the relay, and all that stuff's good, and you've got a switch problem. If that doesn't run, you start going back to find where the problem is with the relay or the fuse. Okay? Any questions on the early cars on the cooling fan? A little more expensive system, a little more complex system. No more belt-driven fan, no more clutch slippage. Instead, you've got 2 electric cooler fans. The fans are triggered by basically the same set of switches that you got on the earlier cars. But the switches don't just trigger a relay. Instead, the switches trigger a control box. The control box is located between the seat and the door on the passenger side. The operation is through the 2 electronic boxes that are up on the front valence panel. Okay? Those control boxes, the control box and those final control units operate both the fan and the infamous flap system or slat system on the radiator. The fans are actually multi-speed fans on the later cars. I believe they're 3-speed. And the fans and cooling flaps operate together. the last paragraph here,